Nice to be with you again. Welcome to my YouTube channel Bachelor and Master English. Today we are talking about Richard Tarnas' essay The Postmodern Mind. In our today's discussion we shall be focusing on the concept of postmodern mind as discussed by Richard Tarnas in his book The Passion of Western Mind. In our today's discussion we have a background of this concept, the meaning of postmodernism, postmodern challenges and notable features of postmodern mind will be discussed. Okay. I am sure you will accompany me till the end of video. If you are new to my channel, I request you to subscribe my channel, and if you think this discussion is worth watching, please recommend to your friends and fellows by sharing it. Okay. Let us talk about Richard Tarnas' The Postmodern Mind. Richard Tarnas' The Postmodern Mind is a philosophical as well as critical essay on the study of the postmodern mind. Before describing about the postmodern mind, the writer has discussed about the background for emergence of the postmodern mind. He believes that each and every philosophical movement in the West has emerged because of the sacrifice of certain heroes. The sacrifice of Socrates gave birth to Greek classical thinking. The trial and crucifixion of Jesus Christ gave birth to Christianity, and because of the logical mind of Galileo, the modern science got birth. It is Nietzsche's his concept of nihilism or zeroism gave birth to the complex postmodern mind. Nietzsche's philosophical nihilism suggested that the very center of our existence is totally nihilistic or hollow because everything ends in nothingness. This concept of zeroism has given basis for the emergence of postmodern and postmodern thinking. The postmodern mind is the complex human mind, and postmodern thinking is the thinking of complexity. After the Second World War, human mind was complexly developed because of so many absurdities and many emerging voices. Postmodern thinking is the complex thinking rejecting the modern thinking. Okay. As a rejection over modernism, postmodernism and its concept of mind believes on decentralization, on desirability, uncertainty, ambiguity, instability, mystery and dilemma. It is again heroism, and rather than dictating the single truth or reality, which is the monolithic claim of modernism, postmodernism believes on the multiplicity and plurality of truth. Postmodern mind is such flexible and liquid, like thinking which gets probability everywhere, but does not go certainty or finality of anything, because it considers that all the truth values that are man-made are the human interpretations, and none of the interpretations are final interpretations. So, there is no final truth, there is no final meaning, there is no final existence or final decision. It considers that interpretations are ever coming and all interpretations are the attempts to achieve truth. So, truth is never one-sided and open. Therefore, postmodernism is the state of confused human mind which sees probably in everything but undecidability everywhere. There are many doubts and questions regarding postmodernism. It is asked whether postmodernism is a distinct trend or postmodernism itself is a distinct trend itself, like modernism or another philosophy. It also does not claim anything heroically, but instead it is the awareness of the postmodern mind that single truth or single meaning is impossible because of the many emerging voices. In the very center of postmodernism, there are the radical perspectives of Kuhnian philosophy. Similarly, postmodern mind gives ears to all the voices of philosophical ideas such as existentialism of Kierkegaard, absurdism of Jean-Paul Sartre and others, deconstruction of Jacques Derrida, Marxism, feminism, post-structuralism, linguistic idea, because of multiple voices given by such different philosophical, political, religious as well as linguistic movements, the concept of truth or reality has become very complex to declare. Everything has become probable, and the concept of central meaning has been divested. So, in the postmodernism, the concept of single meaning has totally has totally collapsed. Postmodernism is also a great revolution, and it is the suppressed voice speaking against the long dominated Eurocentrism. And that Eurocentrism means white skin concept and golden hair concept. The postmodernism and its philosophers and thinkers say that European white elites have dominated the non-Europeans and the non-white since long. In the name of white skin, all the non-whites have been strongly exploited. So, the postmodern mind revolt that there is bankruptcy. In the white skin thinking against this Eurocentrism, postmodernism has revolted and suggested that new concepts and ideas should be reconstructed. Eventually, even though postmodernism does not claim anything heroically, it gives certain suggestion for us to become the postmodern thinker. Firstly, it suggests that final truth or reality is impossible. So, we should take all the truth values not as final truth, but as the product of interpretation, just the attempts of interpretation. Truth, reality or meaning is the matter of human interpretation. So, non-interpretation can itself be another interpretation. Non-interpretation can be the final interpretation. So, there is no final truth or no final meaning and no final there is no final truth and no meaning is final meaning. The meaning always flies, as there is a flying of the meaning. The signifier always flies. And what about arresting or catching the signifiers? There is the very idea of deconstruction, criticizing structuralism of those thinkers, structuralists especially, who try to find the meaning and particular structures, and deconstructionists like Jacques Derrida, they cut down and they deduced these ideas differently. They criticize and they put their ideas differently. The playing of the meaning, they try to find the meaning playing. It's like Lord Krishna's activities, the Leela of Lord Krishna. Secondly, interpretation may come at any time, because interpretation are never ending. So, it suggests us to make our mind flexible and liquid to accept any interpretation. We should not be rigid. We should make our mind open to any sort of interpretation and let them claim what meaning they derive. But we know there is no meaning that is final meaning. And static, dogmatic or rigid mind cannot be the postmodern mind. So, this rigid mind, we should be open, we should be always critical and skeptical. We should be thinking ourselves in the different way. Let everyone to think, let everyone to derive meaning, let everyone to discuss, let everyone to interpret, because everyone has the time or turn to interpret. So, interpretation never ends, the meaning never becomes stable. So, that is the point that Tarnas is talking about here, and rigid mind cannot be the postmodern mind, because postmodern mind accepts everything. Okay, this is about the discussion. Now, let us go with the notable features of postmodern mind. The postmodern mind is the concept of postmodernism. The postmodernism is the term applied to the literature and art after the Second World War. The individual thinking has become prime focus here. Everyone has the view, everyone can derive, everyone can go, and this the univocal literalism, self-centered elitism, and the center-seeking attitude of modernism, that is modern mind, have been criticized and rejected. The modern mind is concerned with the critical deconstruction of traditional assumptions through various modes of analysis. The pretense of any form of omniscience must be abandoned. Totalization in any human endeavor is potentially totalitarian. So, this is not acceptable. There should be open freedom required, not totalitarianism. That is the concept comes with postmodernism. Though not undisputed what postmodernism is, it may be viewed as an open-ended, indeterminate set of attitudes covering from existentialism, Marxism, psychoanalysis to feminism, deconstruction, semiotics, and so on. Postmodernism accepts no no objective essence. It holds plasticity and constant change of reality and knowledge. Knowledge is regarded as relative and fallible, not absolute, not certain. It is said that human knowledge is subjectively determined by a number of factors. Quest for knowledge is self-revising. One learns from one's mistake. In the field of knowledge, there is no absolute, but all is provisional. Like knowledge, reality too is a fluid and not a solid. It is a possibility rather than fact. It is personal and contextual, not objective and absolute. Reality is not something perceived, but in some sense constructed by the mind. Mind is not passive reflector, but an active and creative in the process of reality. The human capacity for concept and symbol formation, and these are recognized as basic element in human understanding and creation of reality. Postmodern mind accepts no empirical fact, no logical argument as a priori, and regards that all sorts of knowledge consist of certain degree of indeterminacy. All human understanding is interpretation, and no interpretation is ever final. Constant awareness of mind owing to continual advancement in psychology, sociology, linguistics, semiotics, discourse analysis, all these brought to Eurocentric character of Western thought. Racial studies, color and gender studies have opened the unconscious determination of human experience and knowledge. To the postmodern mind, the world does not exist as a thing in itself, independent of interpretation. It comes into being only through interpretation. Like knowledge and reality, the world view is without firm ground, open and indeterminate. Pluralism and incoherence, a pervasive sense of radical uncertainty and displacement, awareness of cultural narrowness and historical relativity continue or contribute to postmodern condition. Many sources have contributed to create postmodern intellectual situation. The analysis of language has particularly contributed to Friedrich Nietzsche, Shakespeare's Ferdinand de Saussure, Wittgenstein, Benjamin Lehorf, Michel Foucault, and their analysis has opened multiple interpretation of language. The human mind can never change or claim across to any reality other than that determined by the real experience of life. Language depends on context. Contexts which determinate or determine meaning are never fixed. It is on the ground which each text bears the plurality of incomparable meaning. The possibility of coherence in the text is undermined by hidden contradiction. All meanings are undecidable, and therefore, there can be no true or final meaning. The postmodern critical thought has a systematic or skeptical or doubting and rejecting of the entire Western intellectual canon as male white European elite. It had encouraged to open eyes and view the long history of the West as ruthless expansionism and exploitation, colonialism and imperialism, slavery and genocide, oppression of women, minorities, working class and insensitivity to other cultural traditions and values. It subverts the existed paradigms in the study of meaning, in the study of different aspects of language and structure. By deconstructing, all it deconstructs itself as well as, and pluralism is complexity and ambiguity are significant characteristics of postmodern intellectual situation. Two anti-intellectual or antithetical impulses work together. The binaries, there are always binaries like day, night, dark, bright, life, death. One impulse is for radical deconstruction and unmasking, other for radical integration and reconciliation. Different theories developed in the age which reflect the impression of contrast impulses. So, postmodern mind, according to Richard Tarnas, is a challenging concept, and this is a very important concept for the people, and it tries to incorporate, it tries to include, and it tries to give open space and tries to avoid rigidity. And this is what is called postmodern, varies, but it must widespread. The concept like pragmatism, existentialism, Marxism, psychoanalysis, feminism, hermeneutics, deconstruction, so many concepts come together, so many types of knowledge, exploring knowledge come together. So, knowledge has degree of indeterminacy, no empirical fact has been found, no logical argument as a priori. All these things come together, and what Tarnas says here, two antithetical impulses, one radical deconstruction and unmasking, other for radical integration and reconciliation. Two impulses work against each other in different theories developed in these decades, and these two theories are helping us to derive meaning, to accept any type of interpretations as meaning. So, our interpretations will be our, not there is no measuring rod, there is no concept that is final concept, there is no conclusion that is final. So, no meaning is final, no conclusion is final. So, the signifiers always fly, there is no possibility of absorbing them. That is the concept. So, rigid mind cannot be the postmodern mind, because postmodern mind accept everything. Okay, that is all the discussion with Richard Tarnas philosophical essay, scholarly essay, postmodern mind. I am sure you got the points, and I will be back with other videos. If you have not subscribed my channel, please I request you again to subscribe my channel, and if you think this video is worth watching, please recommend your friends by sharing it and telling this. If this is not good, please tell me what should I do, and if it is good, please let your friends and fellows know. Thank you for your time and patience. I will be back again.